in me saying it feels like most of what we've done is a review or a small or tiny little extension? Yes? Was that to me or to Ezra?
Ezra.
Me it says no, it's not a review. It's been brand new.
It is.
All right, so you've done this before.
Wait.
Even better. Crushed my dreams, Ezra. No. I'm glad you have seen it before. Do you remember rules?
No.
I mean, you might learn rules. I'll be honest. The more you do this, it becomes automatic. It's not like you have to think, okay, a positive plus a positive minus a negative. You know, the more you do it, the less rigid that becomes and the easier it is to become automatic. So, let's think about something. When you learned how to add, what did you use?
Positives.
What did you use to help you know that the answer was going to be 7?
Fingers.
Fingers. Yes. Okay? Let's not discredit that. That was a tool. I'd even say it was technology. The first calculator. It's really just like a tally keeper thing, right? So, huh?
I thought it was like making marks on the wall.
Oh, maybe you did that too. So the first thing I want to say, I put integers up here. Integers are only a slight extension of what you guys treat as numbers, except there's a very rigid definition. Integers are whole numbers, positive, negative, and 0. Okay? So no decimals, no fractions. We're only talking about whole number values. And so it's also important that we write or represent this, the tool that I'm going to use and you're maybe going to use or visualize to help you here, instead of fingers. People start having nightmares about math when you start talking negatives and fingers. You're going to chop it off. So we're going to use a number line, okay? Chop it like it's wrong. And I was having this discussion with Cora a couple weeks ago. They're learning about, history and how do you guys understand the concept of AD versus BC? Yeah, how do you understand that concept, Meet? Can you explain what's going on there? Yes, but numerically, right, she's doing stuff. Guys, something you want to say? All right. So, numerically, what's happening there with BC years and AD years?
BC is like before Christ.
Yes, BC is like before Christ. AD is like after, Anno Domini. But how do you decide? Let me just give you some context here. She has, like 1300 BC, that, when you did timelines in history, 1300 BC, 800 BC, 1650 BC, 201 AD, stuff like that. And she's asked to find out, hey, list these events in chronological order, meaning the order that they happened. So you'd have to understand, well, what's happening with BC years? They're all before a particular event. That event, I'm going to liken to the number 0. Okay? So, what do you think I mean to convey there? What is the first event out of these? No. This one. It's furthest to the left in terms of a number line. If this was a number line of, we'd have AD and BC over here, then 1650 is furthest to the left. Well, then what comes next?
1300 BC.
1300.
And then it would be 800. And then 201.
And then 201 AD. That's the only one that's on the right side of Jesus' birth, so to speak. How are we going to make make sense of our number line here. Well, these first three events all said BC. So what I told Cora, because she has a great understanding of the number line, is that, oh, it's like those are all negative. So the earliest one means it's the first one in line. It's the one that's furthest to the left from 0. Okay? So maybe you've seen a number line with positives and negatives before. You probably have. 1, 2, 3. Likewise, I've got -1, -2, and -3. So we first have to understand the concept of the number line, that you can compare values, -2 and +1. And I'd ask you a simple question. What inequality goes in there? Less than, greater than, equal to. We're going to say that -2 is less than 1. Why? It's further to the left on the number line. All of your least value numbers are all to the left. Least left. That's simple enough for me. Least left. They both have the L. And then our greatest is on the right. That pattern continues forever. That's simple, right? Or we could do one like this. We could say, well, let's do 0.2, and let's compare it to -12. Which one's larger? 0.2. Why? A negative is always going to be smaller than a positive number. Okay. All right. Well, that's not what today's about. Today's about doing problems like this, but with mixtures of positives and negatives. Or, said like your book, adding integers. So, let's take a few minutes and look at some examples. Suppose we had 5 plus -2. And a lot of times, to help you see the negative, that number will be written in parentheses, okay? 5 plus -2. We're going to use the number line like you used your fingers back in kindergarten, okay? So I'm going to put my 5 right here in the middle. You don't have to do all the little tick marks. I'm only going to focus on the numbers that matter here. So 5 plus -2. Well, let's think for a second. 5 plus 2 would be 7. That's what we have up here as our reminder of first grade. So the other way that we say -2, does anybody know what it is? We say -2. There's one more that I'm looking for here. It's not a regular 2. It's actually the opposite of 2. It's the opposite of 2. Okay? So 5 plus the opposite of 2, 5 plus -2 is 3. Let's think about that for a second. We're going to start here. Anytime you add, what direction are you supposed to go?
Up or right?
Number line, it's to the right, sure. So why am I going to the left here? Because I'm adding something that's negative, right? I'm adding a negative. So it's going to decrease the total value. The sum will be negative. So 1, 2, there. That's how we end up with 3. I'm going to have to draw a number line on every single one, I guess. That'll be all right. Okay, so now suppose, let's do this. -5 plus -2. All right, and so the numbers that matter here for us, I'm going to put my -5 right there. I'm going to put some numbers around it. I'm going to give you a second to think here. We're going to start at -5, and then it says, okay, I want you to combine -5 with -2. So, if you heard what Jeffrey said a minute ago, when you add, you go to the right, but is that always true?
No.
-5 plus -2. Two guesses. -5 or, I'm sorry, -3 or -7. Now, Kate, why did you say -7? Add the negatives together. Anybody want to extend that or agree with that and add to it? Let's think about something. Negative 5 plus positive 2, that would definitely be, okay, I'm adding a positive value. I would move to the right here. Because I'm adding another negative number, it is going to make sense, so we're going to do this. Now, there's one thing nobody's mentioned yet. The addition of a negative. Did you know that can be compared to or likened to subtraction? So negative 5 plus negative 2 is the same thing as negative 5 minus 2. You think about minus, what direction does your brain go on the number line?
Left.
It goes left, right? Left. We're going to take away, we're going to move to the left. You think about how that would have applied here in this top one. 5 plus negative 2 could have been 5 minus 2. Oh, we know how to do that. That's really easy. That's the same thing I've been doing for a decade. Almost a decade, I guess. If you guys are like 12, 13. So, let me get to a fun one like this. Example 69.3. So we had negative 5 minus negative 2. Okay. And I don't know why I chose these numbers. This is just kind of what my brain gravitated towards. So I figured we'd stay consistent with our examples. So, negative 5 has been the starting point for all of these, right? We're going to start there. Think about, well, minus, I'm going to move to the left. How far am I going to move to the left by? The opposite of 2. What just happened? Left, opposite. What's the opposite of left?
Right.
So I'm actually going to move to the right. This is negative 3. Now let's think about a couple of different ways to remember here. When you subtract a negative, okay, so I'm going to hone in on these minus signs that are right beside each other. The opposite of the opposite. Oh no, it's like a double negative. I hope an English teacher doesn't walk in here. We're okay with double negatives. They're actually a positive thing. Okay, anyways, no more jokes. Here's what I like to say. This is just what I started doing a few years ago. When you have negative 5 minus negative 2, the two negatives get together and create a positive. Right? One's like this, one's like this. So this turns into negative 5 plus 2. And that's how I make sense of it being negative 3. I have one other more rudimentary, or we could say immature, analogy that might turn out to be really helpful for you guys. Okay? So, what do we have? Pirates. And we have ninjas. And I can't take credit for this. This is not my idea. Okay? But pirates and ninjas, they both fight with kamikaze tactics. Does anybody know what that is? They die. They go into battle, they die. Okay? But the pirates are positive, and the ninjas are negative. And so, what I want you to think about here is that a pirate takes out a ninja. They cancel each other out. 1 and a negative 1. 5 and a negative 5. So, if we were asked to combine, or let's say we had negative 4 plus 8. I want you to think about something. How many pirates are there? There are 8 pirates. There are 4 ninjas. I identified them because of their sign. Pirates are the positives, the ninjas are the negatives. Who comes out victorious? How many pirates, Brantley? 4 pirates. So my answer is positive 4. It's just a silly way to think about it, but it's not wrong. Now, this involves addition being the tactic that we use here. Suppose we had negative 11 minus negative 13. You'd have to go back and think about, well, I've got takeaway here. and I've got a negative here. You're going to need to simplify it before you try and use the pirate ninja analogy, okay? And by simplify, what I mean is take care of any double symbols here. So we'd actually convert that to negative 11 plus 13. Now we can apply our pirates and ninjas analogy. There's 11 ninjas. There's 13 pirates. Who comes out victorious? How many pirates? 2 pirates. Now if that had been negative 13 plus 11, P-I-R, then we'd have ninjas victorious. I don't know who made this up. Ninjas would always win. Okay, ninjas, I guess. Maybe that's just me being a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle when I was 4. We have 2 ninjas that didn't have to die in battle. So that's what I'm thinking. All right. All that to say this. There's a variety of ways to do this, but there's a couple of rules you need to keep in mind. You always want to take care of double negatives. Okay. Suppose you had negative 8 plus negative 5. So the opposite of 8, again, you can think about the number line. Stick it negative 8 right there. Okay? And then we're going to add negative 5. Again, if you're confused, what's the alternative? Negative 8 plus 5 is going to go to the right, so negative 8 plus negative 5 is going to go to the left. Again, it still sticks with the same rule I gave you. Take care of double symbols. This will become negative 8 minus 5. When you're subtracting, we're going to move to the left. We're going to move to the left by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to negative 13. Okay, so those are your rules. And again, my goal is for you to do enough of these so that the rules become automatic and you don't have to think pirates and ninjas. It's a great way to start if you're having trouble, but the more you do, the more automatic it should become. Okay? Questions or any examples you guys would like me to look at before we move on to the second part of class?